Exceptionless is a third-party software as a service that can be connected to your website. It will collect errors raised by your website and make detailed reports so you can keep an eye on your site's performance. I started this website 2 years ago. For a while, traffic soared, then it crashed and burned. Can Exceptionless help you find out what's going wrong with this .NET Core website? Later in the video, I'll show another cool feature Exceptionless that I didn't know it did, but I've been finding incredibly useful. I'll just mention Exceptionless is a paid service. However, they do allow you to add one site for free. The paid plans are pretty reasonable too. So I'll quickly show you how to get Exceptionless running on an existing .NET Core website. I should also just mention that Exceptionless will work with pretty much any tech stack, but here I'm just demonstrating it on .NET Core. So the first thing you'll need to do is to sign up for a free account at Exceptionless. I'll put a link in the description below. Once you've done that, you need to open Visual Studio and open your solution or project. And then you need to go to the Nuget Package Manager, and you can manage Nuget packages for solution, or you can add a Nuget package to a specific project if you only want it in one project. So in Nuget, go to Browse and then search for Exceptionless. For a .NET Core project, the Nuget package you want is called Exceptionless.ASP.NET Core, and at the time of writing it had 1.04 million downloads. So just click on that one, click the solution you want to add it to, and click on the Install button. The next stage is to go to the Exceptionless website and get an API key. If you already have some projects, then you can go to All Projects and Add New Project, and once you've added one here, it will give you an API key. Back in Visual Studio, you need to open the startup.cs file. At the top here, you need to put a using Exceptionless. If it has the red wavy lines that indicate it can't find the namespace, then go to Dependencies and Packages and check that you have got Exceptionless ASP.NET Core here. So there are a couple of lines of code we needed to add to startup.cs to get the Exceptionless logging working. So I'll scroll down. The first thing we need to do, under Configure Services, you need to add services.addExceptionless. And the only parameter it needs is the API key. Obviously, you need to put your own API key in here. So now onto the configure method, and all we have to do here is use app.useExceptionless, and that will initialize Exceptionless. I should mention that if you only want to use Exceptionless on your actual production server, not any test dev servers, then you could use this here. If env.isDevelopment, then we won't use it. We'll put it in the else here so that it's only triggered on the live site. So that is the only 2 lines of code you need to add to your application. Obviously, remember to deploy it, and you will also need to upload the Exceptionless files it puts in the folder when you publish the website. So remember to upload those if you're still using FTP. So this will log the unhandled exceptions. So these are errors that occur in your code that you haven't accounted for. And you can see now that if you go to exceptions most frequent, then there's a few errors logged here. So it's a really good, you can see the timeline of how many errors you're getting over certain time periods. And if you click on an exception here, it groups them into related exceptions. So we'll scroll down, and if you click on the exception here, then you can find details of the exception. Something really useful here is that it gives you the line number of the controller here that's raising the error. So you can zoom right in and find out what problem you have with your code. So you can also use Exceptionless to log handled errors. These are errors that may arise in your application due to known circumstances, and normally they're in a try and catch block. So here I've opened the home controller, and I'll show you how to add Exceptionless to here so that you can log any errors that may arise. So again, you need to add this statement using Exceptionless, so that goes at the top of the code. Then we need to do some dependency injection so that we will inject the exceptionless client object into our home controller. So we do that much as the same way as you might be using the iLogger component. That seems quite standard. So you basically just clone the code that uses that. So here we have private exceptionless client. We'll use one with an underscore. That will be our actual object we use. And we modified the constructor of the home controller. So we pass it in using dependency injection. So exceptionless client here, and then we use the one that's injected in our own object here. So once you've done that, you can use it in any method in the class, in which case my class is a controller. So all you need to do is to call ex.ToExceptionless and then .submit. So ex is our exception here. So this is a try-catch loop, of course. So we take the exception, and it has an extension method ToExceptionless, and you must remember to call the submit method afterwards. If you just use this, then the actual error won't be logged. At the beginning of the video, I promised you that I would show you a really cool other feature of Exceptionless. Actually, I lied. There are two really cool features of Exceptionless. So the first cool feature I'll briefly show you is that you can have a report here in Exceptionless that shows the broken links in your website. So I'll click on it, go to most frequent, and there's quite a few here. So some are obviously would-be hackers having a look, script kiddies seeing if I've got a wp-login PHP on my site. They're probably looking for WordPress. However, I did notice that this /home/most-views looks like a page on my site that I should have but is missing. So if I click here, it does indeed have a 404 as the error message for not found. So definitely I need to look at this. So I need to go and look at my source code and make sure that this link is right. The other feature I'd like to show you is actually the features feature. So I'll click on here, go to features usage, and go to most frequent. And you'll see there's a few events here. This is something you have to actually set up in your application. So I set this up earlier in the day, and it logs specific events that happen on the website. For example, somebody's searching or using the title generator or submitting a channel to my channel directory. If you work in a large team and you have an SEO team, or they're using Google Analytics and think that GA4, the new Google Analytics, is really horrible, then they may be quite interested in this because it's a really useful feature. So you have to programmatically set up these events, and I'll show you how to do that now. So again, you can add this to any controller in your application, but you'll need to include the Exceptionless library here using this. And obviously you also need to inject it into the controller. So I will go down to the search method here. So there are two ways of logging events. It's using the same exceptionless client we were using before. One method, which I've commented out for now, is using submit feature usage. And you can pass in a text string, in which case I put in search. But this will only indicate that an event took place. So if you just want to log that somebody has done something, but you don't want the details of it, then you can just use this. So personally, I tend to use the different method. This one is called create feature usage, and it has a parameter as the other one. You can put in a text string. In this case, this is the search facility, so I put in search. But then you can use the .AddTags method. And here you can put in a parameter. So I'm using query, which is the text string that the user is searching for on the website. Again, you have to use .submit. If you don't put .submit, then it won't actually send it to Exceptionless. The really cool thing about this is that you can add multiple tags into this. So for the search, AddTags only has one parameter. I have also used it on the page that users can use to submit new channels to the directory. So here is create feature usage again. This time is channel submission, and add tags. This time we add 2 tags. You can add as many as you want. They're just a comma separated list of them. First one is submission. This is the variable that has the channel ID or URL. And the second one is a text string showing the niche that the channel is in. So now in the Exceptionless website, we can see that since I started it, there have been 27 searches. So if I go on here, can click through to see the searches, and you can see that the data is logged into Exceptionless. Oh, there's just been a new one. So people are searching for Fortnite, praying mantises, cats, writing fantasy. So a whole load of searches here. If I go back to the other one, the channel submission one was logging 2 things. So this is the channel ID and this is the niche. So as you can see, it is quite useful for logging particular events on your website. There is also a third one. This is a YouTube channel title generator that I made, and let's click on that one. Fortnite was me testing it, but yet somebody is using it with sandblasting alloy wheels. That definitely wasn't me. So it does show that this is working. So if you've got a .NET Core website that has a few errors on, or you don't know if it's got errors on, then give Exceptionless a go. It's a really nice piece of kit. Personally, I think it will help me recover the traffic to my YouTube directory site. Thanks for watching.